Good evening and welcome to the City of Roswell special called Mayor and City Council meeting for January 29th, 2024. This is a specially called meeting. We will dispense with the prayer and invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance in the beginning of this meeting. I'd like to acknowledge my council members and colleagues present. Councilmember Sarah Beeson, Councilmember Christine Hall, Councilmember Lee Hills, Councilmember David Johnson, Councilmember William Mortland, and Councilmember Alan Sells. The only items on the agenda for the special called meeting are appeals. After the three are concluded, we will conclude this meeting and then open up the open forum meeting. Before we start hearing the appeals, I've asked City Attorney Davidson to explain the process.
Thank you. This is a hearing, and it's a hearing on the denial of the acceptance of the massage establishment license for these three areas. Basically, how this is going to work is the police chief will get up, give his reason for denial, and then the appellant will be able to stand up and give his reasons why that should be overturned by this council. This council can render a decision tonight, but they also have the opportunity to render a decision within 5 days after this. So with that, Mayor, I would turn it back over to you.
Thank you, City Attorney David Davidson. Chief Jim Conroy, would you please come forward and present the first appeal?
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good morning, good evening.
This first case is Katie Massage, 463 Atlanta Street, Suite C, Roswell, Georgia, 30075. The agent is Feng Gao, who is also listed as the owner. As you know, this mayor and city council institute a moratorium on new businesses for spa and massage licenses in early December. That does not apply to this first case. I just want to make sure that was clear. So this first case, they submitted an application that was incomplete. It was missing critical information. It's my understanding the appellant has now rectified those outstanding issues. This is an existing establishment and does not fall under the current moratorium. The business does not currently have a massage spa establishment license. The business was shut down by Roswell Code Enforcement at the direction of the city administrator on January 5th, 2024. My recommendation on this case is to grant appeal and finding in favor of the appellant. The business should be allowed to reopen once they have applied for and obtained the 2024 massage spa establishment license and Roswell occupational tax certificate. And that is the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Chief. So just for clarity, you recommend granting the appeal in the appeal one?
Correct.
Thank you, sir. Is the applicant here?
Good afternoon, everybody.
If you'd like to address, please come forward to the microphone.
My name is Di Cheng, and I represent the appellant, Katie Massage. And I agree with the chief of police that this business does now fall within the purview of the moratorium. This is an existing massage establishment. The first time the appellant applied for a renewal back in December, she did miss a piece of the application, which is the registered agent form. And subsequent to that, the city closed the business. But during that meantime, she found a suitable person to be the registered agent for the business. And on January 19th, she submitted a complete application. I have a copy right here, and it was reviewed by the police department and deemed sufficient. Only thing that's sitting here right now is the review process by the city police department, whether this is a sufficient and valid application. And once that determination is made, and hopefully we'll have the massage establishment license, and then we can in turn turn to the city and get the renewal for tax and occupational certificate.
Thank you, sir, very much. Anything else?
Nothing further, and we just want a speedy review of the application so that the business has been shut down for the last 3 weeks.
Thank you, sir. All right, the council will take this matter under advisement and render a decision within 5 days. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Chief Conroy, would you please bring appeal number 2?
All right, I'm going to introduce the attorney for the appellant first. He would like to speak to you briefly before I begin.
All right, Mr. Mayor, City Council, good evening. I represent the remaining 2 matters on today's calendar. I've spoken with the Chief of Police. We'd be asking this case be continued for 2 weeks. Certainly, the Chief of Police has asked that they don't continue with their business, which we've got no issue with. There are a couple matters that we've got to address on our own. We may be refiling. We may actually withdraw. We've just got to get our feet under us, Mr. Mayor.
Outstanding. Thank you, sir. Let me take a quick vote with the council. Council, all those in favor of continuance on appeal 2, please raise your hands. All those opposed? Passes unanimously. Continuance is granted on appeal 2. Is that for appeal 3 as well, or just appeal 2?
Correct, yes, that is for both locations.
Let me ask council, all those in favor of continuance on appeal 3, please raise your hands. And the continuance will, sorry, let me give you some for further clarification. The continuance will be granted until February the 12th. Council, if you're in favor of this, please raise your hands on appeal 2 and 3. Thank you very much. Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that concludes my business. Can myself and my clients be excused?
Absolutely. Thank
Take
you,
care, y'all.
sir.
Have a great night.
Thank you. All right. Chief Conroy, I believe that's the end of the appeal process, sir?
Yes, sir. That concludes our presentation, and we have no further appeals. Just for the board's clarification, the other 3 establishments remain closed, and the decision to deny stands.
Thank you, Chief Conroy, very much. All right, being that the appeals were the only items on this special called Mayor and Council meeting of January 29, 2024, this meeting is adjourned. We will open up in a meeting. As soon as we change recordings, we'll open up the open forum meeting in just a minute. Thank you very much. First meeting's closed, adjourned. My little meeting. And welcome to open forum meeting for the Mayor and Council of January 29, 2024. Forgive me. I'm Mayor Kurt Wilson. I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues and council members present. Councilmember Sarah Beeson, Councilmember Lee Hills, Councilmember Christine Hall, Councilmember David Johnson, Councilmember William Mortland, and Councilmember Alan Sells. All right. So we will have the Pledge of Allegiance, the moment of silence, Pledge of Allegiance, the esteemed veteran. We will be reviewing one item, and then we'll have the open forum. I'll save it for just a minute. So at this time, we're very privileged. I'd like to call Dory Griggs, the City of Roswell Fire Department Chaplain, to the front for the invocation and moment of silence.
Please join me. Gracious God, we give thanks for the opportunity to gather tonight to discuss the concerns from the members of our community. We also give thanks for the service of esteemed veteran of Roswell, United States Navy Private George Fox. We appreciate his service to our country and all the men and women who serve. Please be with the mayor, city council members, and the mayors of our community tonight as we hear and discuss concerns of the city of Roswell. We celebrate the historic milestone reached this past week when the first full-time firefighters for the city of Roswell Fire Department began their training period. Roswell Fire Department is one step closer to achieving the vision of becoming an innovative world-class public safety organization. We give thanks to all our first responders, police, 911, and fire, for their dedicated service, and ask for your protection as they work to keep our community safe. Help each of us to be good stewards of all we have, all we are entrusted with, and all we are given. Guide us in our words, actions, and decisions. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Roswell Fire Chaplain Dory Griggs, as always. Wonderful job. Thank you, Dory. So at this time, I would like to call Machinist Mate Second Class George Fox to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Outstanding, sir. So, Machinist Mate Second Class Fox, I'm going to ask you to stay up there, and I'd like council to come down for the first item under the mayor's report, which is the reading of a proclamation for the esteemed Veteran of Roswell Award to United States Navy Machinist Mate Second Class Patrick Fox. Absolutely. Fantastic.
Yeah, you stay up here. You just stay here.
Stay put. You're in the right spot.
So if you don't know this, and I failed to say this in the beginning, we are honoring a World War II veteran tonight. Isn't that fantastic? Proclamation, Office of the Mayor. Machinist Mate Second Class George Fox, esteemed veteran. Whereas the city of Roswell takes great pride in honoring the outstanding individuals who've dedicated their lives to the service of our nation. And whereas it is with the utmost respect and admiration that we recognize George Fox, a distinguished veteran whose life story is woven with selfless service, bravery, and commitment to the principles upon which our great nation stands. Whereas born on June 25th, 1926 in Duluth, Minnesota, George Fox embarked on a remarkable journey of service to his country at a young age, graduating high school at 16 and joining the Merchant Marines, where he worked as a deckhand on a freighter and a harbor tug. And whereas George Fox's commitment to service led him to join the Navy in 1944, undergoing training in Farragut, Idaho, and engineering school in St. Louis, Missouri. And whereas George Fox valiantly served on the USS Fillmore, APA-83, in the Marshall and Carolina Islands in the Pacific, and later on the USS Vulcan AR-5, a repair ship and destroyer, providing crucial support to the Navy fleet in the Pacific during pivotal moments of World War II. And whereas George Fox's service extended to Okinawa, Japan, where he navigated through 2 major typhoons and played a vital role in the occupation of southern Japan, witnessing the aftermath of the atomic bombing of Hiroshima. And whereas following his honorable discharge from the Navy in June 1946, George Fox utilized the GI Bill to earn a bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Minnesota. And whereas his post-military career included international travels working for U.S. industries in South America, Europe, and Canada, before becoming a cherished resident of Roswell, Georgia in July of 1979. And now, therefore, I, Kurt M. Wilson, Mayor of the City of Roswell, do hereby name machinist mate George Fox, an esteemed veteran of Roswell, and call upon all our citizens to recognize his outstanding service to our country and our community, and that there is no higher calling than those who serve the United States Armed Forces. Congratulations, sir. A few words for us, please.
I'm from northern Minnesota, where it's so cold, the natives live someplace else. And I was happy to transfer down here to a warm climate. It was 40 below weather in July. So I enjoyed living in Roswell. It's a progressive, up-to-date, modern city, and I really enjoy it, and thank all the residents. And I want to thank Mayor Wilson, the city council, the staff, and all those that have brought this evening together. I feel honored and very much appreciated. Thank you again.
I know, we do. Can you take one more, because he does blink a lot in his pictures. Do you have it on your camera? Oh, yes, that would be great. Thank you, thank you. Not blinking. Not blinking, yay. Get one more. Okay. Thank you.
And he tells me, well, he's passed away now, but he told me stories about it all the time. I bet I wanted you two ran into each other.
And you all need to know, he was on the first
his
ship
brakes on.
into Hiroshima after the bomb was dropped. And he went in there 2 months after the bomb was dropped, walked around on all that radiation, and here he is today at 97 years old.
Ladies and gentlemen, World War II veteran George Fox. All right, I can't help, this is a terrible joke, but I'm gonna do it anyway. From one World War II veteran to another, I would like to acknowledge, and I'm sorry, you got to come out of that booth back there. Come out here, Marley. Come and join us in the front. World War III. Come on up to the speaker podium so everybody can see you.
Everybody knows me.
That's, well,
I got an email from me at some point.
everybody knows you. And so just to let everybody know, this is Marley's last council meeting after, yeah. So this is her last one. So I wanted to make sure we acknowledged her and said thank you for the amazing job you've done for our city and let everybody see you. Because nobody ever gets to see you because you're always back there doing your amazing thing.
Oh, they've seen me. A lot of
26 years.
Marley, tell us what you're going to do in your retirement.
I'm going to be a full-time grandma. No, I'm going to spend a lot more time with my granddaughter and my husband. I probably spend more time here than at home, so we're going to switch it around now.
Marley,
Thank
it's
you.
awesome. Marley told me before when we were downstairs at the coffee machine, Marley said, I think I'm going to follow the Mike Palermo model. So I'm going to be here at the February 12th meeting because if you know, Councilmember Mike Palermo, he's here at every meeting now. And Marley said she's going to do the same thing. So you obviously, if you haven't sent a note to Marley, send her a note. Let her know how much you appreciate her service to our city. We're going to miss you, Marley. All right. The last item on the mayor's report is upcoming events and announcements, and I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Councilmember Lee Hills.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. We have a lot cooking the month of February, which is right around the corner. I will encourage you to go visit Roswell365.com to see what's going on in Roswell. All around Roswell, you can search by genre or things that you've heard about and find out where to go. Also, if you have anything in your community, either a nonprofit or a church group, neighborhood event that's open to the public, you can go on there and load your event on there to get more exposure and hopefully encourage more people to visit whatever it is that you're trying to encourage the community to engage in. Also want to tell you that Roswell Roots for the month of February has already started getting a leap on things. You may find all sorts of great information about the programming for the next 32 days at roswellroots.com or at roswell365.com. This is the 23rd Annual Roswell Roots Festival, and it's a community-wide month-long celebration to highlight education and cultural and historic awareness here in the city of Roswell. This year, the festival will feature flagship events such as Black in the Box, Carla Harris and the Joe Alterman Trio. The Groveway Community Group presents Metropolitan Atlanta Community Band. One of my favorites is Telling Our Story, and I did put at the podium back here a little booklet, which is all online on roswellroots.com or on roswell365.com. But if you want to grab one of these on the way out or down in the rotunda to the right of the elevator, there's a little kiosk that has all kinds of information, but this is a great booklet to keep you on track. So I have learned all sorts of things the last several years, and I've participated in these for years, hit or miss depending on what sparked my interest that year. So I encourage you to get involved and check out some local history. The last thing I want to bring to your attention, if you're familiar with Super Museum Sunday, that's typically the first Sunday of the month. The museums are free across the state of Georgia, and there was some kerfluffle with the state, a conflict, so they've moved it to February 11th. So please do go visit Barrington Hall, Bullock Hall, and/or Smith Plantation. They're all our city museums and have a lot of information for you to learn about what has happened here in Roswell and what we're doing now. So hopefully those are free from noon to 4 on February 11th. So that's all I've got for right now, Mayor. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Lee. I feel like I'm forgetting something before we close the mayor's report, but okay, all right. All right, next is community development. Councilor Mortland, would you read the item under community development, please, sir?
We have the final plat for East Village, 2600 Holcomb Bridge Road. But Mayor, before we get going on this, late this afternoon, we received a request from the applicant for a deferral until the next regularly scheduled city council meeting. So I would like to motion that we do push this to the February 12th regularly scheduled meeting at this time.
Thank you, Pro Tem Councilmember Morthland. So a motion's been made by Councilmember Morthland to defer this item to, what was the date, Will?
February 12th.
February 12th, thank you. And so a motion's been made. Would any other council members like to make a second? Seconded by Councilmember David Johnson. All those in favor of deferring this item to the February 12th meeting, please raise your hands. Deferral passes unanimously. Thank you very much. All right.
Hey, Mayor, real quick.
Yes, sir.
I
Yes,
just
ma'am.
thought of one thing that we did not have in the events list, and if I totally spaced out and missed it, I'm sorry. Did you mention Roswell Restaurants Weeks? Roswell Restaurants Weeks? That's the one.
Do it, sir.
Roswell Restaurants Week is going on now. If you have not done so already, please visit roswellrw.com. It's hosted by Visit Roswell as well as Roswell Inc. to highlight some of the incredible restaurants we have here in Roswell. It's so great that they had to add an additional week. It's going on now through February 3rd. There are several, dozens of restaurants. They all have a prefix menu to show you the best of the best at an affordable price. So please check out and patronize our wonderful restaurants here in Roswell.
Sarah, thank you. Thank you so much for catching me there. All right. Before we go to open comment. Oh, that's first? That's next? Okay, yeah, sorry. City Attorney Davidson, would you read your item under the City Attorney's report?
Thank you, Mayor. The only item I have is a recommendation for closure to discuss personnel, litigation, and real estate after the open mic night.
All right, thank you very much, David. Do I have a motion for closure after the open mic? Councilmember Hall, seconded by Councilmember Morthland. All in favor of going to closure after the conclusion of the open mic night, please raise your hands. Motion for closure is approved 6-0. Thank you very much. All right, Randy, I'm going to turn it over to you for a quick presentation, please, sir. Welcome, City Administrator, Mr. Randy Knight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. We wanted to take a brief moment to update the council and certainly the viewing audience and those present on the matter of massage spa establishments and the city's approach. We want to emphasize a couple of things, and one being that, of course, for illegal or illicit establishment, the city has a very strong position that those cannot and will not exist in the city of Roswell. For those who do operate in a professional, legal manner, we want to make sure that they are positioned to prosper and to thrive in the city. So we'll go through this brief presentation. I think it will be illuminating. We certainly appreciate all of the comments that we have received from many establishment owners that have been beneficial and helpful, and we appreciate their input. Just by way of information, the city has enlisted all of these departments related to the establishment matter, the police department, code enforcement, building, planning and zoning, legal, fire, solicitor courts, and business licensing, because in some way or another, all of these departments touch these establishments. In 2022, the mayor and council established some ordinance provisions to help position the city to address the issues of illegal spas and massage establishments. After a year-long investigation spearheaded by the Roswell Police Department, there were 70 arrests at 23 locations. 20 individuals at 6 spa locations were able to be connected with victim advocates and additional resources. At that time, there were simultaneous search warrants served at 10 different locations in Roswell, Johns Creek, Sandy Springs, and Atlanta. There were numerous local and regional agencies involved, and that investigation is ongoing. Our police department has been very active in this matter, and they're continuing their investigation using a number of different means to address this illegal issue. In January of this year, earlier this year, code enforcement assessed 128 establishments, 11 citations issued. There were court dates, January 24th and 25th, and they will be ongoing. And then 7 businesses were closed as a result for operating without a license, notwithstanding the due process of any appeals. These were based upon factual information, and those businesses were closed as a result. A couple of items. There's some current actions being taken place currently. There's a 90-day moratorium established in December 11th, that addresses anyone operating without a license and notice of enforcement. Ongoing inspections and citations are taking place. There was also a text amendment initiated as well as an ordinance proposed change, which is upcoming, which I'll discuss in more detail in just a moment. These items address operators, of course, owners of said establishments, and then we're looking at various means and mechanism of addressing the demand, the customers of these illegal establishments. Massage spa ordinance zoning updates. As I mentioned, there was an initiation on January 8th. A first reading has already been held. A second reading will be held on February 12th, and this would mandate that any new establishments come directly to mayor and council by virtue of a conditional use application. Application requirements to include all necessary documentation, administrative review, which is up to a 60-day review process. We're also looking at the appropriate fee structure associated with conditional uses. And what we have been finding is that in the past, there have been a number of establishments that open and close and then open down the street under a new business name or new business owner. This would allow for additional oversight to ensure that if there is any question with respect to a particular business, they receive adequate review, and that information is provided to mayor and council. Excuse me. Also, spa ordinance updates, February 12th and 26th. That will address several items, including building plan layout, restricted equipment, and then application requirements. As our police department becomes more knowledgeable about these establishments, there are certain tells that have been prominent and consistent in illegal establishments. Both are proposed to be approved by February 26th, which would be prior to the end of the 90-day moratorium. I want to emphasize again that these regulations are intended to address illegal and illicit activity. For those who operate legally, professionally, and operate businesses within the city, we want to allow those businesses to continue to operate unencumbered and uninhibited. As a result, the city held a massage spa ordinance zoning open house this past Friday. We had a number of people come by. We asked, all of our respective departments were there. We were able to answer questions. We were able to provide information on the current requirements and also any proposed or pending requirements. And as I mentioned at the outset, we had some very meaningful conversations with many of the business owners, and those proved to be very helpful and very beneficial as we craft the ordinance changes. Sorry, okay. A couple of items with respect to the proposed ordinance changes that you'll be seeing here in a few weeks. One of the major issues that was of concern of many business owners was the surety bond issue. We're looking at revising that item as a proposed recommendation, or actually removing it as a recommendation. Also, the issue of a registered agent within Fulton County. That has been a legacy item within our ordinance, and we believe, given the concerns that have been raised and also from some of our established business owners, that that is something that we should closely take a look at and revise in order to not inhibit those legal entities. Also, the terminology. I have been using the term massage spa ordinance intentionally because that's currently in our ordinance. But some of the business owners have mentioned other phrases or terminology that they would believe would be more appropriate to distinguish their businesses from those who operate illegally, and we certainly are open to their recommendations and suggestions. I would also like to provide this information to anyone who needs their questions answered. Massage@roswellgov.com is an email that you can provide any questions or comments to us. Also, if you have any specific questions, you can call the Roswell Police Records and Permits Unit, 770-640-4100. We want to ensure that everyone has all of the adequate information they need to be able to submit an application, to be able to meet the established deadlines, and to be able to operate their business as they have in the past. I would also ask if our Chief Jim Conroy would like to add any comments related to this matter.
Welcome, Chief.
Thank you. Good evening again. There were a number of people, and I do see them here in the room. If you would just put your hand up if you were at that open house the other day. So quite a number of people who came and educated us on the process. One of the things, and I promised that I would deliver the message, and the city administrator already presented it, two of their biggest concerns is the surety bond and the registered agent. A lot of the people, especially the ones here tonight, are sole proprietors. They're the owner and sole employee of their business, and to get a registered agent would bring in another entity. Many of them do not live within the city, but they do operate a business in our city. So that was one of their concerns, and I promised that I would bring that up to the mayor and city council for consideration. But it was a very good learning process. They taught us many things, and we educated them as well. Applications are still continuing. The investigation that the city administrator mentioned is still ongoing and still extremely active. We do have warrants outstanding for several employees, and that is still an ongoing investigation. But it was a great open house, and we received lots of praise for having that event. Anybody who has questions, please call, email us. We want to get those applications in and processed as soon as possible.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief Conroy, and I want to certainly publicly acknowledge the great work of the Roswell Police Department over the course of the past year in a very difficult matter. They've been very patient, but very directed and very deliberate in their efforts, and that is certainly echoed by the rest of the staff and talent of the city of Roswell. Again, for those businesses who operate legally, we want to see you move forward and be able to operate your business in a manner that is commensurate with the city of Roswell. However, for those who do not and who are engaged in illegal, illicit activity, we are coming for you, and we will not stop until those businesses no longer reside in the city of Roswell. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Knighton. Appreciate your leadership. Randy, thank you, sir. And since you're walking up here, I realized, we're a little, yes, Councilmember Beeson, yes, ma'am.
Just wanted to give one quick point of clarity based on some of the feedback and questions that I've been receiving. The registered agent requirement, which City Administrator Randy Knighton was referring to, that's also the residential requirement. So the way that it's currently phrased within that application, it's phrased in such a way that one could infer that you're requiring somebody to live in the County of Fulton in order to operate a business here. If you do not reside in Fulton County, you can get a registered agent, but either way, that is what they're looking at, potentially removing that language, since I don't think everyone interpreted it the same way as registered agent.
Thanks, Sarah, for that clarification. Any other Comments, thoughts? Very good. So I realized a little disjointed since we started off with a hearing, special called meeting, and then we ran right into the open mic meeting. And I skipped a very important part where Randy begins our meeting. So Randy, I'm going to turn it over to you since we're about to go into open mic.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And welcome again, everyone. In accordance with Section Chapter 3.70 of the City Code, the City Council shall hold regular public meetings and open forum meetings when there is a fifth Monday in the month. The purpose of City Council meetings are for the public to participate and speak on agenda items which constitute formal decisions by the elected body, and also, of course, here in open forum this evening. Items are listed on the published agenda, which can be accessed via the city website prior to the meeting. This is a public meeting, and a significant important component of City Council meetings and open forum meetings are to hear directly from residents on the items listed on the agenda or here in open forum, as the mayor and council incorporate each comment into their decision. Residents are at the top of the organizational chart of the city of Roswell. Therefore, it is imperative for mayor and council to hear from residents on items impacting them and/or the city. If you would like to speak on an item in open forum, we ask that you fill out a comment card, which are located at the back of the room, in order to ensure an accurate record of the meeting. We ask, of course, that everyone observe the principles of mutual respect and display the appropriate demeanor during the meeting this evening, which is reflective of this great community. The mayor is the presiding officer for the meeting and will ensure the orderly exchange of comments, questions, and discussion leading to any decision by the elected body in mayor and council meetings, and will preside, of course, over the open forum. We encourage everyone in attendance and the viewing audience to visit the city website for meetings, events, and departmental information. And as mentioned by Councilmember Hills earlier, please visit Roswell365.com, where you will find a number of announcements which promote community, physical activity, and leisure as we all make Roswell the #1 family community in America. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Knighton. So at this point, we will begin what is known as public comment, open microphone, open mic night. As Mr. Knighton explained, it happens on our Monday 5 weeks, which I think is going to be 5 times this year. I want to remind everyone to please fill out a comment card. There is a 5-minute time limit. This meeting, open mic, is for Roswell residents. That's Roswell residents who live in the city of Roswell, have a Roswell address, and can vote in the city of Roswell. So that is a very important prerequisite. It is the public comment from Roswell residents who can vote in our city or are eligible to vote. And I'll call on you and ask you to come up. And since we are talking, I know we have some special guests with us tonight. I'm going to make an exception on the open mic with a very special rule. So if you're a Roswell business but are not a resident of Roswell, tonight I also will allow you to speak for 1 minute on anything you want to address in terms of addressing anything in reference to the massage spa ordinance. So, just for clarity, 5 minutes for Roswell residents. If you're a Roswell business, non-Roswell resident, you can come up and speak for a minute. I will call on you at that time, and please come forward. I'll ask you your name and your address and where you live in Roswell. If you don't live in Roswell, please make that clear, and the fact that you're a Roswell business. All right, with that being said, public comment open mic night now begins. Who would like to go first? Yes, ma'am. You could bring it right up there to that center podium. There's a little tray to the left of the podium. You see it there?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Welcome.
Thank you so much. So thank you for giving me opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Alexa Fink, and I've lived here for 22 years in Roswell. And I'd like to thank the Roswell City Council and the Roswell Police Department for taking action to ensure that massage spas are operating as actual spas and not exploiting people for sexual profit. I am an advocate for ending trafficking and sexual exploitation in Georgia, and as a state, I know that we need to do more, but I am applauding you all tonight for keeping our city safe and for your amazing teamwork. I really appreciate it, and I know a lot of people here tonight do as well. And I don't just blame illicit massage spas for exploiting vulnerable people and for trafficking. Like you mentioned earlier, that we also have to focus on the demand. And those are the actual sex buyers because they create the demand and fuel human trafficking. And whenever you purchase sex through another party, you don't know if that person is operating on force, fraud, or coercion. You don't really know. So we have to protect vulnerable people in our community. And we have been trying to confront this issue from supply, demand, and also from the marketplace. And so I'm very glad to work alongside of you all and support you in any way possible. People working in these establishments, again, they may not be operating by choice. A lot of them may not even speak the language. They may be held under threat of deportation and other things like that. We just don't know. But I do encourage the community to learn more about human trafficking because it is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. And I also encourage them to begin to understand what human trafficking looks like in your own communities. If you live in a small town versus an urban environment, it's going to look very different. The marketplaces are different. We don't have a lot of hotels and motels here, so I feel like that maybe that's one reason why we do have a lot of massage parlors. And I'm all for the legitimate businesses and helping them in any way possible, but I'm definitely with y'all on cracking down on the ones, again, that are operating under illicit means. So I just wanted to end with, please share this information with your friends and have these conversations in your communities. A lot of people assume that human trafficking isn't happening here because we are such an amazing community, but the truth is that it's happening in every city and every state and every country. So we need to remain vigilant, and when we see something, we need to report it. And again, thank you all for your amazing work.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That wasn't so bad, was it? Who's next? Yes, sir, in the back with the... Welcome. Great. Make sure you share with us who you are and where you live.
Okay, my name's Steve Mueller. I lived here about a year. I live in the Orchards, Village Lane, if you're familiar with that is. And really, my only concern is, so, you know, the Blessed Trinity High School, there's a back entrance to that school, and there's like about 100-yard straightaway to the exit to Hardscrabble Road. And there are speed bumps throughout the high school property, but there's no speed bump on that like 100 or 200-yard stretch. And I went to the school to ask them about, hey, you know, you guys want to maybe put up a speed bump or two to slow down the kids coming out of school. They close it from 8 to 2 during the day, but then before school and after school, a lot of cars use that entrance, and I mean, they fly. And there's, like I say, speed bumps throughout the school property, but when I asked them about it, they said that stretch is like up to the village to police, and maybe your police officers are familiar with it, but just hate to see somebody speeding. I've been walking along that stretch of street, and it's, you know, it's kind of hazardous. So I don't know if you were aware of that.
Steve, I just made a note. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. I just made a note. We'll follow up. Randy and I will follow up with Jim and with our public safety liaison, Sarah. But would you do me a favor?
Sure.
Send me an email following up on that specific road, because I know where you're talking about. And you're right, I haven't looked at that piece. And it's kwilson@roswellgov.com. K. Wilson.
So what do you want me to do, send her an email?
Send me an email following up on this. I'm going to follow up with you, but
Okay.
I'm going to follow up on this. But if you'll just send me an email as an additional follow-up.
K. Wilson.
kwilson@roswellgov.com.
Okay. I appreciate that. And, gov.com?
Yes, sir, Roswell
Okay.
Gov.
And the other thing is a recent person moving here from up north. So we're a gated community. You're familiar with the Orchards?
Yes, sir.
And I don't understand like your zoning, because I don't really get a straight answer. You guys don't service like our complex. Like we're responsible for our own street repairs and like lights?
If you own them, yes, sir.
And like, why is that?
Probably when the development was built, it was probably the developer owned the infrastructure. And so there's a lot of those in the city where the private developer owns the infrastructure rather than the city.
But I mean, so you mean to tell me every subdivision that's like kind of one way in, one way out, and they have the sign out front, like who gets village services and who doesn't? Like we get police and fire, right?
Yes.
Who takes care of the hydrants? Is that street department, the fire department come by and flow hydrants? I mean, like I don't understand the difference, like what we're entitled to and what we're not.
Are
If
you
there's an
asking about
overhead
the
light that's out, supposedly that's on us. Like, what do we get for our tax dollars? You know what I mean? Like, we're paying taxes.
What do you
but-
get for your tax dollars? You're asking a really gigantic question, which I can't answer. I mean, what you get for your tax dollars is you get the best police force in the entire state of
Well,
Georgia. What you
okay.
get for your tax dollars is the best fire department that we're going full-time. What
Right.
you get for your tax dollars is an incredible park system. What you get for your tax dollars, I mean, I can keep going.
Oh,
So, I mean,
right,
that's a
and-
loaded question. What
Right.
you get for your tax dollars is an amazing transportation department,
Oh, okay,
which has
well,
a very
let's-
aggressive schedule for repaving.
let's
What you
just
get for your
back that
tax
up a
dollars,
minute.
what you get for your tax dollars. No, you asked the question, what do you get
Right,
for your tax dollars?
okay.
Because the best value for your tax dollars, Steve, by far, not even close to any proportionality, federal tax dollars, state tax dollars, and county tax dollars, by far the less amount of taxation happens at the local level. The city of Roswell, by the way, who's reduced taxes in real terms 2 years in a row, in real terms, compared to
Okay.
any other city in 15 cities in Fulton County. Then you ask a loaded question. You ask
Okay,
a loaded
I
question. You
understand
ask
it.
a loaded question.
All right,
No,
now let
you
me
ask a loaded
respond.
question. I'm going to answer.
Do we have access to the street department?
You have access to all city services, but if your subdivision owns the street or owns the lights, right? So if you own those, when you built whoever built that subdivision, right?
Okay.
Made a decision to own the infrastructure. So it doesn't make sense for the other taxpayers in the city to pay for your infrastructure when your subdivision, your ownership, made a decision to own it. Now, that's a very common recipe. So if it's publicly owned, the city will take care of it. But if it's privately owned, which is what your subdivision is, you take care of it.
Well, let's say we decided not to be privately owned.
There
Then
are,
you're gonna
that,
take-
that is the
I
question.
mean, I know that's a legal question.
No, it comes up all the time, Steve. That's a
Okay.
question we have people ask us all the time.
Okay.
And just like you would probably handle in any simple transactional matter, we say, absolutely. However, you have to bring it up to speed. I'm not going to pay for your disrepair, just like you wouldn't pay for mine. So if you want the street, if you got to get up to a standard that you want me to take it over to the long term, that's the only equitable solution to the rest of the taxpayers in the city of Roswell.
Okay, but theoretically, I'm paying tax dollars for their street repairs, right? Even though I don't live there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand.
Your streets are not open to the public. The taxpayer dollars that you're paying for are streets that are open to the public. Technically, your streets are not open to the
Because
public.
it's gated.
That's right.
Okay, so if it wasn't gated, then it's open season, you know what I mean? Like, I
Well, you'd
don't
have to, you own the street. Until you don't own the street, right, you're not allowing public access.
Okay, so, but I mean, if we allow.
Steve,
pub-
I'm going to move on from this
Okay,
conversation.
yeah,
because
I know, we're getting
going
off
way into the
topic
weeds,
here.
yeah.
But I'll send you
An
email
email,
on
I'm
the
going to
speed
follow
bump
up
thing.
on the 100 to 200-yard stretch, because I know what you're talking about, and I do want to take a
Well,
look
you
at
could
that.
do Google Earth and see the stretch, but, you know, I've almost gotten hit and then get angry looks.
I'm with you.
You know, that whole
No,
thing.
speeding is a challenge for our issue, is a challenge for our city that we've got to remedy.
And it's
seriously.
mostly the kids too, because it's like, you know, burning rubber out of there.
No question.
So where do I put this?
Perfect, right there. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you,
appreciate
Steve.
it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right, who's next? Yes, ma'am. Claire?
Good evening. My name is Claire Barnes.
Welcome, Claire.
Hello.
Do me a favor, just share everybody your name and where you live so
Claire
everybody
Barnes,
knows.
19 Revival Street, Roswell, Georgia. Today's political environment causes a person to notice when a person stands by principles
Hey,
and
Claire,
integrity.
we can't, I'm just going to stop you, start time again. Yeah, just make sure yeah, so we can everyone hear you.
Today's political environment causes a person to notice when a person stands by principles and integrity because this is an anomaly, not the norm. I want to take the time to acknowledge Mayor Pro Tem Will Morthland for standing by his principles and choosing integrity during our recent council elections. He proved to Roswell residents that he is in fact the person we worked hard to put in office. Some chose politics over integrity. When you see Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Will Morthland out in public, reach out his hand and thank him and say thank you for the service. Maybe take a moment to send a city to email to thank him. When times come that Mayor Pro Tem will want to throw his hat back in the ring, we hope that he will do so for re-election. Thank you. Thank you.
Claire, you couldn't be more right. I'll tell you a little funny story about Will. So Will was a very unwilling candidate and honestly was pretty bad as a candidate. I mean, honestly, he really was. And could barely talk publicly. And I will tell you a little inside ballpark scene. We call him Senator Morthland behind his back because we all think the irony is the person that's probably most ambitious at here, that actually is going to be the most successful politician, will be United States Senator Will Morthland in 25 years. So the kind of reluctant politician. So thank you. I couldn't agree more with you. Yes, who's next? Yes, ma'am. Now, Janet, it is not fair for you to come up here. You had an hour meeting with the city administrator, the chief of staff, and the city mayor for an hour, and then boom, you get an inordinate amount of time.
You were so lucky.
We are so lucky.
Thank you very much. My name is Janet Russell. Next month, I will have been here 51 years. I moved here as a young mother with babies.
Hold on,
and
Janet,
now
by
I'm
the
an
way.
Yes?
Congratulations. Happy 39th birthday on Saturday.
Should have been so lucky. I would love to be 75 again. Okay. But thank you. I appreciated the meetings today. We needed a little more time, but I think I illuminated a few pieces of information for this gentlemen that were there who listened respectfully to me about things because they didn't know they weren't here. And I have a memory like an elephant. And I remember minutia when nobody else does. And the minutia, you know, God is in the details. However, first of all, the first woman who spoke about the establishments, absolutely. Well said. I want to add on, yes. Primarily, the people who are trafficked are women, and slavery ended in 1865, and it doesn't need to stick its ugly face up again. Secondly, and I'll use a play on words, we need to expose the customer, literally and physically. We'll find out how many men really want it when we take a picture of them and put it on the front page. So, now, some good news. This year, the Roswell pool will be 50 years old. There were, just so you know, because most of the people in this room probably weren't here, we didn't have a pool. There had been one at Waller Park, and it was segregated. And when segregation ended, the pool was closed because they needed repairs. So when I moved here in '73, there was no pool, and we had one park, Waller Park. Nothing else. There were about 5,000 people in Roswell. 2,000 were adults. 2,000 people live in an apartment complex today. I stayed. I liked it. I moved here from San Francisco. I had spent my previous 3 years in Vietnam doing troop flights and hitchhiking from London to Istanbul by myself. And I came here and I stayed. It's my landing pad. But we needed a pool. So 2,000 adults voted a bond, basically a tax, to buy all the land the Roswell Area Park is in, 64 acres, to build the Roswell Olympic-sized pool. It was one of 3 in the state of Georgia at that time, to build the Bill Johnson Activity Building, which is adjacent to it, and to buy historic Bullock Hall. 2,000 adults went out on a limb to a place that was basically not even Mayberry. We had 2 restaurants and a gas station and a hobby shop, and Holcomb Bridge Road wasn't paved on the other side of Georgia 400. Where Regal Nissan was a farm with horses that ate apples. I thought that was pretty cool. And there was some man that rode up and down here doing all his errands on horses, which, coming from the city, I thought that was pretty cool. But the pool we built because we looked to the future. And I tell young families today, and I've seen children grow up and now they're lifeguards. In fact, I'd like to see some of our lifeguards honored. One is a Top Gun in the Navy and based in Germany. And I know now that they have their children there. And when I get in the pool, I tell them, you know, the pool ferry, I go every day to the pool in summer. I said, the pool ferry did not drop this pool here. It was built by people who looked forward. We built it for children whose parents haven't been born yet. And I'm talking to the parent that hadn't been born, and they're playing with the kids in the pool. So the reason I say that is we need to celebrate that Roswell has a 50-year-old pool. During the Olympics, the team of Fiji and other teams came and trained there. It was totally cool. We weren't connected by cell phones and iPads and internet. It was really great. The 64 acres became the pearl of our park system, and we expanded it to now 28 parks and 1,000 acres. All those places we can gather. Imagine that, gathering spaces. I encourage everyone to come to the pool. Because when you drive there, whether you came in an old beat-up car, you walked, or you drove in a Maserati, when you take off your clothes and put on your swimsuit, we're all in the same water together. And we don't have our glasses on, so we can't see what we look like. And no one cares if you're a size 22 or a size 1. Finally, so I encourage you, the pool is coming up, and we have to have a celebration. Also, take a look at the art that's in the lobby when you left today. It's fantastic artwork from all the schools for Black History Month. Roswell has a deep, rich Black history, and I encourage everyone to become familiar with it because our life is richer when we all look at each other with good eyes.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak. I do not live in the county, but I have a massage therapy business.
Roswell
in
business, how long? You've had a business for a while in Roswell.
I have since 1997. I bought my condo in 2008 over on 600 House Way in Roswell. It's across from Tolbert Yilmaz just built a huge building across from us. I was just curious. You were saying you were that we can have an agent if we don't live in the county. When it was first presented to us on it, it was saying that, I don't know if those were examples or what you wanted us to have was a CPA or a lawyer. Or can it be anybody who resides in Roswell?
We haven't addressed that matter, have we? It's one of the recommended changes.
Yeah. So the city attorney has recommended changes that he's going to make to the deliberate body of the council.
Okay.
To be able to answer that, but I don't think they're prepared to give you the full disclosure of answers on that this evening.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. Would you share your name with everybody?
Margaret Scally.
Thanks, Margaret. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. It will be addressed from recommendations coming from the city attorney's office to the council.
Any idea when we might know? Because if we're having to get these applications filled out, and they were suggesting at the open house that we do it as quick as possible, because after March 1st, that's when everything has to be.
That'll be the first reading.
Yes, ma'am. The first reading will be in 2 weeks on February 12th.
So at that reading, that's
Yes,
when
ma'am.
it will?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for having your business so long in Roswell. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Frazier, welcome. Please share with everybody your name and where you live.
Good evening, Lucia Frazier. I live on Hardscrabble Road. And I just want to support what you guys are doing with the massage parlors. I really appreciate all that hard work and checking and making sure they're operating in the best way possible. I agree 100% with Alexa. Thank you for all that. You definitely put it very well. Also, I just want to mention that I think we moved on with I guess the East Roswell Village issue over there. I just wanted to add, let's see what we can do our best to leave as much green space as possible over there. I know it's a difficult situation. And then finally, I just want to thank you guys for your continued support of keeping as much green space as we have and our beautiful parks. And just everything that you do, because you represent us well. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Frazier. Who else would like to speak? Wow, Ms. Bahunted, good, welcome. Hi, Gail, how are you? Make sure you tell everybody who you are. So glad to have you tonight. Thank you, and where you live in Roswell.
Oh, my mind went blank after all these years. But anyway, my name is Gail Bohanna McCoy, and I reside at 736 Bush Street, and I have been there for many years. And I just want to take this time to thank the new council members and also the mayor and all of the Roswell staff, and especially those that have been on the Roots Committee for many years. I have served, and I just want to say thank you for continuing it. There's a lot of events that have been planned for this year regarding Roswell Roots, and I missed it just a little bit, but that was just one less meeting I had to go to. But I want to say I hope you all continue it, and I hope that the community will embrace it and go out and see all the activities. And one special program I'm going to do my plug is Telling Our Story, which will be February the 18th at Pleasant Hill Baptist Church at 725 Pleasant Hill Street. And one of the things that we will be presenting this year, the history of churches, especially Pleasant Hill and Zion, and how we have embraced it and got our leadership from those churches in the community.
Gail, thank you. I tell you, I'm excited too this year because there's a lot more Roswell emphasis. I'm very excited about this.
That was originally what Roswell Roots was supposed to be, was telling the Black history of Roswell, but we kind of have steered away from it, and that's why Growway took on Telling Our Story, so the story of the Black history of Roswell would be told.
You know, Roswell is 185 years old, 180 years old, and most of us came here 25 years ago.
Of course.
Right, most of us. The overwhelming majority of us did. But Roswell has always it's always been kind of a cool, unique town. It not only has charm, but it has a really unique history. It has a really unique history in regards to race. We can't talk enough. There's so much to learn about Roswell and even our racial history, and it's not the same old, same old. It's a different story. It's some of the same story, but it's also a different story. And there's a lot to learn from our past.
Yes.
Both good and bad, even in the city of Roswell. Yes. And so I am very excited that Roswell Roots is really focused on Roswell in terms of the Black experience in Roswell. I'm very excited about that this year. Thank you for.
Yes, and I have to say that I've been executive director, president, whatever, of Growway Community Group, which is the oldest nonprofit in the city of Roswell. We might be kind of small compared to some of the other nonprofits, but we do a lot of great things in having a voice in the city of Roswell, and I do appreciate that.
Gail, thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Welcome. It's Joe, right?
You got it, yes, thank you. I remember. Okay, I was asked at the meeting, I'm Joe Taylor, by the way, 3022 Glendower Way, Roswell.
massage therapist.
Yeah, you have a business, so to get everybody to know, you got a Roswell business. How long have you had your Roswell business?
I've been here for 20 years in business. Okay, guys, I was asked to, thank you, by the way, for listening so much and really addressing the points that we've all most concerned about. Another thing that I'm really concerned about, I have compassion and everything for what's going on. I support it totally. However, when Detective Wells brought me the copy of the ordinance that pertained to our business, there was some pages left out of that chapter 14 ordinance. And the first of it is adult entertainment, okay? That's hurtful to me, really hurtful. I am not adult entertainment. I would like to see the language to be changed when we refer to, I am not a massage parlor. These are businesses of prostitution. These are businesses of human trafficking. I am not a masseuse. I do not have a massage parlor, okay? I am a licensed massage therapist. Within the state of Georgia, I am licensed to practice. How do we separate us out of adult entertainment? Because we're not. Matter of fact, by the state of Georgia's laws, if I have anything to do with adult entertainment, I will lose my license. It'll be gone. I was asked by Angela on Friday to make a definition of massage therapy. I can't do it. I can't give you guys what a massage therapist is, because it could be taken wrong. It could be misconstrued. I manipulate, I massage, I use different strokes, different modalities to relieve muscle pain, to relieve stress. I have people, doctors, physical therapists referring me. I do what it takes to give that client what they need, to protect them with all of my heart and soul. Okay? So what I did is I made a packet for each one of you, okay, where you can understand what we have to do to maintain our license. I do apologize. There's a standards of practice. I didn't get a chance to print all of these out for you, but if you guys will take these and share them among you, I only have 2 of these, but I have 9 packets of the others. I would like to share those with you where you can understand why it hurts my feelings, why I find offended, that I'm so offended by the word massage establishment, massage parlor. We are not massage parlors. We are not massage establishments. We are massage therapists. And call it what it is. Call it a house of prostitution. Call it a business of human trafficking. But let's change the verbiage. Let's stop using the word massage when it's not appropriate. Okay? When I am doing illicit, let me rephrase that. When somebody is doing illicit sex, they are not doing massage therapy. So let's change it. Let's see what we have to do. Let's all work together to get it done. Can I just leave these here for you guys? Okay. I appreciate everything you're doing, truly. And thank you for listening for me for like an hour again, like a broken record. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. One of the things that I think we have not brought up into the public record, that when we first began this, let's be clear that Lee and Will and Christine and Mike and myself began this really before we came into office 2 years ago. And then Sarah joined us last year, and certainly as the public safety liaison. And now we have David and Alan, who I think are just as vehement about this. But one of the things I want to share with you is, look, for us, this was a clear this was an easy matter. And as I think I've said to you on the record, I am a long-term client and user of massage therapy services, and a huge advocate for massage therapy, and understand actually that the vast majority of people who are in massage therapy are sole practitioners. And that includes here in Roswell, because I get massage therapy in here in Roswell from a sole practitioner. So very, very clear about the challenges. And one of the things that we haven't talked about, but I would ask for you just to maybe ponder this. One of the positive offshoots of this is that when we eliminate all of this illegal activity associated around this behavior, it is going to be beneficial to all of those who are currently engaged but get confused in terms of this conversation. Because what some of this is about is, hey, you can't use the term, don't use the term. It's not us, it's the term that's used interchangeably out there, the semantics of it. Like, we agree with you. Like, this is hard. Like, you said it perfectly, Joe. I can't give you a definition of massage therapy. Because when we got into this, the same thing. We're saying, like, we want to make sure that we protect the people who are legitimately doing business in Roswell. But we are also going to eliminate the illegal activity, principally, first and foremost, because of human trafficking. Secondly, yes, I mean, it's like it's not even clear. Secondly, because you and I have a responsibility to deal with things when they're wrong. And too often, I said this last week, I'll say it again, nothing was done about this for years. Nothing's not being done about this in some of our neighboring communities, because it looks like it's benign from the outside. And you know who gets hurt by that besides the people who are actually the huge victims of human trafficking? But legitimate massage therapy people. Legitimate massage therapists get hurt. So one of the things is, I will just tell you, I believe that one of the reasons when you see us clean this out of the city of Roswell, and I will tell you, we're very aggressive about this. We are touching some of our sister cities. When we clean this out of the city of Roswell, it is going to have a positive impact, because nobody will be able to walk into your practice and have any expectations, because we've made it very clear in the city of Roswell, it is a no-go zone, 0. And so I just want to pass that on to you. So there's a little bit of pain and frustration. I know it. I get it. Just bear with us. Like, we are continuing to be advocates for you, and to take any considerations of things you say, hey, could you change this language? Or, hey, what about the surety bond? Or, hey, what about the registered agent piece? We're hearing you, and we are responding accordingly. And not every piece is going to be perfectly laid out. Never is, never will be. Just know you have an advocate with us, and we are listening intently to you, and we'll continue to listen to you. So that's my little 2 cents on this. All right, who else would like to address? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Sarah. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Jane Walsh, and I live at 53 Fowler Avenue.
Hi, Jane.
And I'm also a massage therapist and an RN, and I'm licensed in both. And I just have a question, or maybe a
Jane,
suggestion.
what was the second one? I'm sorry, I missed the second modality. You said I'm a massage, I missed this.
Yeah, I became a nurse in college.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I'm licensed in both massage and nursing. I'm a registered nurse. And I also work here in Roswell as a massage therapist only now. I keep my RN licensing. But my question is, and this is, I agree so much with the last speaker. Thank you for that. Who rents commercial space to these illicit sex traffickers? And is that an avenue that really needs to be addressed? Because without those people renting the space, they've got to know what's going on in there. So they're complicit, and they should be accountable for this. They need to be accounted.
Yes, ma'am, 100%.
And I hadn't heard anything about that. But they're making money, maybe they're a small business,
Well,
but.
let me address that. I think I addressed this last week. You're not going to hear everything we're doing because we cannot lay out all of the cards to people we can't show all the cards and give people warnings of people that we're trying to take out. So you're not going to hear everything we're doing publicly. Just as a matter of protocol from a public safety perspective, there are some things you won't know about until after they're done because it's a matter of efficacy. Will we be effective with that particular measure or countermeasure? So some of this is a lagging conversation for us, and I apologize, but it's just a matter of, for us, the first priority is to eliminate it. But your point is incredibly well taken.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Who else would like to talk? I sure appreciate everybody being here tonight. Thank you for coming here and displaying your passion and your love for Roswell, and just for being here. Thank you so much. With that being said, I'm going to shut down the public comment part and bring it back to my colleagues to see if any of my colleagues would like to address any issues. Council members? Well, wait a minute. Can I say one thing? I saw Councilmember Palermo just running around here like in a hurried buzz frenzy, and I thought he would be the first. I thought he would knock over Janet Russell to get to the mic, and then now I can't find him. So we escaped. So David, yes, sir.
I just want to say to the massage therapists in the room, I'm a licensed medical practitioner. I have a license from the state. I have the National Commission of National. I don't even remember my licensing board. It's called NCCAA, not NCAA. Roll Tide. I have a license them, paid thousands of dollars in CME money. Well, Northside Hospital does, but reimburses me. I do not want to make your practice more difficult. I understand how difficult it is to be a medical professional in the state of Georgia, and the licensings and the CMEs that we go through. And at the same point, I don't need to repeat what you said, but sex trafficking is stopping at Roswell. So there's a fine line we have to go through. So I get you. You got someone that, I understand what you're going through. I understand, and also, I'm not a nurse. I don't want to be called a nurse. I work in anesthesia. I don't want to be called a drug dealer. So I get what you're saying.
Thank you, David. All right, any other council members? All right, that being said, yes, sir? I knew you couldn't resist yourself. Councilmember Worthlin.
For anybody out there that would like to run for senator, I would welcome that. Because city council is a monster of its own, and I could not imagine doing that on a national or state level. For the record.
Well, I will tell you, Mr. Gazzetti says this is harder than a lot of those pieces, so it's just preparing you, Welly. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for all being here. The open forum of January 29th is now adjourned. The council will go into closure. Thank you very much. Right?
That's why I say War Eagle, and he says Roll Tide.
War Eagle. All right, let's get this.
I would pay